Young Justice Season 4 returned this week to HBO Max for a brand new episode entitled Get Ready. Well, once again, the title was spelled backwards, but I hope you appreciate me not wasting your time by just telling you the title forwards. As always, I'm Cape Joel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, as well as shouting out any comic book Easter eggs I can find. So with that all out of the way, let's get to it, shall we? Once again, Young Justice treated us to the continued saga that is the life and times of Vandal Savage. It seems that after assisting in the sinking of Atlantis and the death of his grandson Arion, Vandal bounced back with a vengeance, changing his name again and founding another one of mankind's greatest cities, this time Babylon, home of the famous Hanging Gardens. Despite all of his regained splendor, Vandal grew discontent, especially with his listless generals. How was he to save the world with such lackluster followers? Enter once more Clarion the Witch Boy, whose partnership continues to be just as much a blessing as a curse. Clarion attempted to gift Vandal something to deal with his problem generals. Unfortunately, that gift turned out to be a Starro, aka one of those giant starfish monsters that the Justice League fought in their very first comic book appearance together. Now, we had actually seen some of Vandal's battle against the Starros in a previous episode, but here in Get Ready we see the fallout from the affair. It seems that history repeated itself all over again as Vandal's lust for control and union with the Chaos Lord cost him the life of another one of his progenies, this time son Nabu. Just another life sacrificed on the altar of Vandal's ever-growing ambitions. You have to wonder how much his modern daughter Cassandra knows about these former misadventures and if she worries that she might be next at some point. Now, while Nabu may have died, we know that wasn't the end of his story. The Lords of Order, unlike the Lords of Chaos, never liked coming to Earth themselves. Instead, they always chose to empower a human to do their work, mainly because, well, humans scared the ever-loving crap out of them, and why shouldn't they? Humanity tends to be chaotic by nature. I should know, I'm a human. With Nabu, though, they wanted to try something different and give Vandal the middle finger all at the same time. They aimed to create a better servant of order, one who was Lord and mortal united, thus better equipped to protect Earth and the balance. That was, of course, what ultimately gave birth to the Helmet of Fate. Now, back in the present, Zatana and her 3 students go to the Tower of Fate to try and get Doctor Fate's help in the battle with Child. Why we even hear Zatana name drop what her new little magic group might be called. She uses the word Sentinels, as in Sentinels of Magic. So much for me here thinking they were going to be the show's version of Shadowpack, or even other fans who brought up the concept of calling them Young Justice Dark. Dr. Fate, as always, is stubborn and dogmatic. He refuses to help the battle against the Lords of Chaos because, much like Zatana thought last week, he doesn't see why any of this is his problem. If Chaos Lords want to fight Chaos Lords, why shouldn't they be allowed to? Dr. Fate would only swoop in later and clean up the mess once they were both weakened. Not at all thinking about the loss of human life or destruction that's already been wrought by the battling between Clarion and Child. Roanoke Island will probably never be the same. Furthermore, Dr. Fate is unimpressed with Zatana's students and vows to test their magical worth by having them face their innermost fears. Yes, it's one of those episodes, everyone, but honestly, some time to really get into the heads of Merritt, Khalid, and Tracy is exactly what I've been asking for since this arc began, so you're not going to hear me complain about it. Here's as good a place as any too to mention Beast Boy gets another very sad C-plot this week. His condition continues to deteriorate as he slips deeper and deeper into a dark depression. He's shirking his hero duties, his teammates are beginning to lose patience with him, and just to add a grim cherry to the sundae, he's abusing pills now to cope. We saw him taking over-the-counter sleep aids a few episodes back, and now he's moved on to the harder prescription stuff. Yikes. The worst part is I think we all have someone in our lives who went down paths similar to this one, so you can't say the show doesn't offer an unflinching look at loss. So how about those magical trials I mentioned before? Well, they all come in their own unique flavors. For Tracy, it's a twisted puppet show that voices her own personal insecurities, how her urban magic makes no sense, how she keeps getting ping-ponged between teams because nobody wants her. We're also reminded that much like in her early comic appearances, Tracy is dating Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes. They broke up and she actually ended up dating Natasha Irons. I wonder if the same thing is going to happen in the show, Tracy being one of the more earliest and therefore most prominent bisexual women in DC Comics. Tracy overcomes her fears with the help of her lizard buddy Leroy when she remembers that these feelings are always going to be bouncing around in her head, but they don't need to control her life. Pretty simple stuff, but effective all the same. The other 2 Sentinels, though, suffer from much harder and darker inner demons, like Khalid, who finds himself himself pulled in a dozen different directions. He wants to become a doctor and do good, but how can he balance that with also becoming a superhero sorcerer? How can he make his parents proud and be a good Muslim, a first-generation American, without feeling like he's drowning in conflicting expectations? Speaking of which, did you know that Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti actually reached out to the Muslim Public Affairs Council when writing this newest season? I assumed this was for stuff relating to Halo, but it's clear that Khalid benefited a lot from this creative partnership. True, his strife feels nuanced and authentic in a way I'm sure is going to mean the world to a lot of viewers out there. In the end, Khalid only passes his test when he realizes that his future is for him and him alone to decide. He doesn't have to be just one thing, he can truly do it all and follow his own calling should he want to. There's a really nice bit of music here too, or maybe it's a prayer, I can't be certain. If someone knows, tell me in the comments section down below, because I really thought it helped nail the scene. And finally we come to Mary, who as we see is forced to do battle with her superhero alter ego, Sergeant Marvel, complete with comic-accurate white suit. As we discover, Mary rejected the Shazam transformation after she became addicted to the power it offered. She was living her life full-time as the Sergeant and not as Mary. This is a really clever idea and an interesting concept for a member of the Shazam family. I don't remember if this is from the comics or not, so kudos to the show if it's all new. Billy Batson even makes a small little cameo here too, supporting Mary in her choice to do what she thinks is best, and even calling her sister, which I found particularly interesting because she doesn't have the Batson last name in the show. Again, strong stuff and something I hope that the show follows up on later. Now, even after witnessing all this great character growth, Dr. Fate still refuses to help anyone. However, his stubbornness is broken by the last person you might expect, Zatara, Zatana's father and the helmet's current human host. It's Zatara who reminds Naboo about how important his bond with humanity truly is and all the good work he's done as part of the JSA and the League, and how none of that would be possible were it not for his human host and the things that drive them. The show also has a nice little clip package that reminds us just how many heroes have worn the Helmet of Fate throughout the show's 4-season run, and man, I did not think it was that many, but there it is. Ultimately, Zatara's words do end up breaking through Naboo's rough exterior, and if that wasn't enough to push him over the edge, when Clarion comes to the Tower of Fate hat in hand looking for help only to be slayed by Child, it hits home exactly what kind of threat they're dealing with in this newest Chaos Lord. I, for one, am still amazed that Clarion actually shed a little tear. Perhaps all this time on Earth affected the Witch Boy in a way that even he could not consider. And so that was Get Ready, and as far as I'm concerned, it was the best episode of this arc by far. It delivered on all the character focus that I'd been asking for the last 2 episodes, and now that we've actually gotten a chance to spend some time with the Sentinels of Magic, get to know them and what drives them, and have real connections with them, I hope they end up making it out the other side okay in this battle with Child. Beyond that, there's really not much more I need to say, so that'll just about do it for me in another week, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It helps me a lot, and it helps you make sure you always know when the next Young Justice video is about to drop. You've been doing so many great things for my channel this year, and I hope you'll continue to do so. So until we meet again, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again next week. Bye-bye.